Podcast.
Woohoo!
Podcast.
It's a me!
Podcast.
Bring!
Podcast. Podcast.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is Graham over here.
And I'm Jake.
And boy, do we have a question for us from you.
Oh, boy.
And the question is, I've been looking into water heaters. It seems like tankless water heaters are the way to go. Is there any reason I should choose something else?
Oh. Well,
You look a little worried over there.
well, if budget is the main concern, you could always just have cold showers, right? Like there's that option.
No water
like we're stopping
heater.
at, yeah, no water heater. Like if we're talking about, what are your options? No, but you should probably heat the water that your clients are
It does
going
make
to
your
use.
tank water seem really nice and toasty afterwards.
Oh, yeah,
is
right?
The
Like
benefit of cold showers.
Myriad reasons, yeah. All right. So basically the question is tankless water heaters, on-demand water heaters versus storage tank versus...
Anything is what but yeah, storage tank heat, I guess, yeah, so tankless as opposed to something with a
Right.
tank.
So I
Yeah.
guess the storage tank water heater, one of the most common. And then I guess also there's boiler systems and stuff. There's solar. I guess I shouldn't just say there are only those two.
So I feel like I always maybe get this wrong or maybe get it right. Is tankless water heaters the same as on-demand
It is.
water heaters?
Yep.
They're just okay, great.
Exactly.
Then I haven't been lying to
Nope,
people
no,
for
that's
all
good.
these years. Yeah, good.
No, same thing. Tankless on demand. The idea there is that there's no storage tank. They might even be referred to as on demand more often. The idea is that
more points for Graham.
yeah, no, it's just the water is you have hot water on demand. You're not storing anything. You're not continuously heating it. You're only using energy when you're actually using the hot water. So there's some efficiency things going there.
And that's opposed to
a
having this
storage
big body
tank
of
unit,
water where
yep.
it's just and that's where you're
Suffering.
heating it. You're like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
storing it in there and you're heating up the water in the storage tank
Constantly suffering from latent heat loss.
and that by far is the most common.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah,
like
storage tank water is-
residentially and
Yep,
commercially.
yep,
Like
absolutely.
you see them everywhere. You have one in the bottom of your house
Very
right now,
common.
most likely.
Yeah, price point, much lower price point compared to tankless units and stuff like that. Okay, let's talk about the couple of them there, like how they're rated and like what you're doing with them and what you need it for at your center.
Yeah.
First and foremost, kind of like electricity, you're doing a load calculation for that. You're going to be doing a load calculation for the amount of water that you want to be using in your space. Keeping in mind that, you have people showering at a couple gallons per minute. And they all shower, and then a new group of people, however many tanks you have, comes in right after them and showers again. We're running 2 showers for every float, like that shower business almost. You know what I mean? So we need to provide hot water. You can look at storage tank water heaters. They're going to take up a footprint within your shop somewhere. They are rated on their first hour rating, basically. How much hot water can we give you in 1 hour if this tank is already filled with hot water? And the tankless water heaters, the way that they're rated is how much can I change the temperature of the source water at a given flow rate to give you your desired temperature of 110, 120, whatever your building code is for that area. As long as we're talking about ratings, it is worth noting that last year, in June 2017, the Department of Energy, they actually devised a new system of rating different water heaters to make it a little bit easier to compare things, apples to apples, make sure it's easier to look at these two things when you're comparing them next to each other. It's the UEF, the Uniform Energy Factor, I believe is what that actually stands for. It's a little different than the old EF system that they were using, basically just telling you the efficiency of the unit, how much of the energy are you putting into that unit that actually converts into, warm water, something that we're actually using or something like that. This new system breaks up different units into 4 tiers, 4 bins is what they call them. And then within that tier of water heater, they rate those. And the higher the UEF, the more efficient it is, which means the more money you're going to save, to be completely honest, and the less energy you're going to waste for the environment and everything
And so
like that.
is that new rating for tanked water heaters, or is it for both?
It is for both. They're making this universal, of course, like it's within bins. You know what I mean? They're compartmentalizing these things, compartmentalizing these things. But it's all across the board. It is only for residential units right now, not commercial units. But a lot of float tank centers, they're purchasing residential units. They're using those within their space because they tend to be a little bit cheaper. And again, we're only using it for showers, we don't need hotter than 120 degree water, basically. So this is currently only for residential units, but it is worth noting. Again, they broke it up into 4 tiers, and within those tiers, the higher the rating, the more efficient it's going to be. Also, another thing to note is that if 2 water heaters are in different tiers from each other, then those ratings do not directly compare. So you'll have something in the high tier saying it has a 0.95 rating, and then something in the low tier that has a 0.95 rating. When you look at that and you only see the 0.95, just realize that's not the whole picture. You should definitely check out what tier it in, because those are not directly relatable.
And fortunately, it's become really standard practice as well to have stickers on the appliances that actually say exactly how much it would cost with normal water usage.
Yeah.
And so even if all of this, the kind of rating systems themselves sound intimidating, or it sounds like there's a lot to learn there, again, the nice thing is that I think that there's this push to making it more understandable to consumers.
For sure.
Right down to, hey, here's a dollar amount that you can expect per year, and then you can compare those dollar amounts against each other. So there's, like, when I was looking into it, there's probably, almost 3 to 4 or 5 different ways to look at what you're comparing for water heaters.
Absolutely.
It's really crazy.
That's why they're trying to make it a uniform.
Yeah,
code.
no, that
you know
makes
what I mean?
sense.
Like, that's the idea, is like before.
And then, so just to kind of piggyback on this too, this is also one of those areas where, although tankless water heaters are more expensive, they are more efficient, theoretically. Normally you have this body of water that you're heating, and all that heat escapes through the side of the tank. It's in the pipes and is escaping through there. So you're kind of heating a lot of water, or a lot of the heat that you're putting into the water is not being used when it reaches the shower. It's kind of just dispersing.
Which creates its own interesting thing.
And just real quick, but for tankless water heaters, because you're only heating it when it's passing through, you're not wasting any of that heating energy.
Right. So that's what leads to this interesting thing about tankless or on-demand water heaters, is if it's only heating when water is actually passing through it, you can end up in a situation, it's pretty common, it's called the cold water sandwich effect. It's a phenomenon where you basically have
My least favorite kind of sandwich.
So basically, you still have warm water in the lines coming up to your shower, or maybe in the faucets, like right in the taps there. But then you turn on your shower, and then all of a sudden you start pulling through cold water into the system, and now that cold water is running through your lines towards you, and it takes a little bit for the heat exchanger inside those tankless water heaters to heat up. An electric one, it takes quite a bit longer than a gas unit, because gas, the heat recovery rate is just so much quicker for gas. So it can heat up pretty quick, so it's a small, thin sandwich. Whereas like if you only have one tankless water heater per room and your floats are spread out, and you could end up in this situation where you could have a warm blast, a cold blast that you have to sit and stand through, and then it's up to the temperature that you really want. And what we've heard of some people doing to kind of like get around that cold water sandwich effect is they've incorporated a recirculation pump. We have storage tank water heaters that float on, and we use a recirculation pump. Basically, we're cycling the water through the lines at all times, so that when you turn on the shower in the room that's farthest from our water heaters, you don't have to wait for all the cold water to pull through the lines to get to you. Like, say you're the first client that gets out, we don't want you to pull all that cold water towards you. We want it pretty much warm right away. But what they've done for these tankless water heaters as an option is they're saying, well, let's include a recirculation pump, so water's always cycling past that heat exchanger. Well, my problem with that is that you're losing this efficiency, right? Like, the idea was that you're not, you know what I mean? Like, you're not using electricity when you're not actually running the water. So I think that kind of shoots that in the foot. On top of that, it's hard on the equipment. You know what I mean? Like, if it's running continuously, like that's tough on equipment. You're going to see failure over time. And, again, Float Center, we see a lot of showers. We're seeing a lot of turnover. This is not a residential application. So ours are working all the time. So, like, I think those are kind of like at odds with each other. I guess a storage tank. I've seen a storage tank as well, like a small storage tank. But then, like, like you're cobbling things together. Like, I guess what I'm saying is that they both have positives. They both have negatives.
Yeah, the cold water sandwich is an interesting one. That's one that didn't pop to my mind when I was thinking about the on-demand water heaters specifically.
Yeah. It really pops to your mind when they have an electric unit and you turn it on, and then you're sitting there for 45 seconds and like starting to get goosebumps.
Okay, so let's say we were building float-on again, or another float-on.
Nice.
What would we aim for? Like, would we try to get these on-demand water heaters and make them work? Okay.
Yeah, I like the fact that, they're wall-mounted. They take up less of a footprint. I like that it's on-demand heating. I might consider looking at the layout to my rooms. I don't know if I would do just one tank per room. So let's talk about, like, their capacity there for a second. I know before I said that it's rated on the temperature change from your source water and what flow rate you get. Well, you have different levels of equipment out there. If you have an electric unit, you're only really getting like 1.5, 2 gallons per minute if you're trying to change like 70 degrees, 77 degrees or something like that. Whereas a gas unit that's hot almost instantly, those are getting up to 4, 5, 6, and then of course efficiency ratings and everything like that.
Which is actually a good point too, just to slide in a little
Nice.
pro tip there, which is depending on what area, what kind of geographic area you're in, how cold it is and what season it is,
yeah.
you might actually need to look at different on-demand water heaters
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's the difference between that source water and what's coming out, not just the difference between water
For sure, absolutely.
and what's
Source water
coming out.
changes.
So, yeah, if
all
you
of
have really
it.
cold winters,
Yeah.
you're probably going to need a more hefty...
Well, the ground keeps it pretty like consistent, but it is definitely colder than if you're in
Yeah.
like a super warm climate. What I thought you were going to jump to was like the location
The
of
more
like the
intelligent
building.
thing that I could
no,
have
no, no,
said.
no, no. Both amazing things. But the one that does jump, so like gas versus electric. If you want to put your float tank center into like one of these. New condo high rises, and you want your retail space directly below it, you may not be able to have gas units because like you need to be able to vent the gases from combustion. So like that is an interesting thing that we've seen people that want to have a gas line, but then they're like, you can't exhaust that below someone's window or something like that. So yeah, definitely an interesting little thing there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry to derail you on that.
No, yeah.
Okay, so we would go with on-demand. Would we try to solve the... Yeah. Oh,
yeah, that's right.
okay.
You reminded me. No, we would try to solve that problem. We would think about maybe coupling a few together. We've seen people branch a couple tankless water heaters. So like, 3 units, all 3 of them branching into one single supply line, kind of running all the time and stuff like that, if you have pretty good capacity and people are floating pretty regularly. And it seems to blend out, is what we've heard, that it mitigates some of that. And then you can have a situation where, you're branching 3 together and running like a 5-tank center or something like that. So other water demands, just real quick to get those in there. Your washer and dryer, or your dryer doesn't use any water. Your washer, you have faucets running in the bathroom, I guess, at like 3/4 of a gallon. And that's really kind of it for like hot water, your utility sink. And keep in mind that people are not showering in 110, 120 degree water.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just too hot, especially before your floats. We recommend a tepid shower.
Yep. Dishwasher, I guess.
Dishwasher for
if
sure.
you're hooking like a water cooler or something directly into a supply line as opposed to...
A lot of that, if it's in directly in, a lot of those water coolers have heating elements.
I guess
right?
they're an inline water heater themselves oftentimes.
Is that where they got the idea of these float tanks? All right. Cool. I think that's all I really have about water heaters. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. They were just wondering, should they go with their instinct to go with tankless, or should they be looking into other options?
I guess to make that succinct and quick, storage tank water heaters, a little bit cheaper. Just make sure they're well insulated. Make sure you get really efficient ones. They do great. Sometimes when we start seeing large float centers, instead of getting a larger unit, because it's going to suffer from more latent heat loss and they're less efficient, we'll see people put a couple of them in series, basically daisy chain together. So a water source going into one, pump it into another, and then out to the float rooms. That's actually what we have at Float On, 267 first hour rated units daisy chain together. And then tankless water heaters in an ideal world with bottomless pockets. Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to have always hot water no matter what, because you know what's crazy? We've heard this a couple times, actually. There are clients out there, and again, we love our clients. These people are amazing. But there are clients out there that will take their shower. They'll take a shower, and then they'll leave the shower running, and then they'll float the whole time with the shower just running because they like the sound of the water or something like that.
We've had this happen at Float On
Yeah,
specifically.
we've had this happen at Float On. We've heard of it at least at 3 other float centers. At first, we thought that was just a crazy one-off, but it's happened multiple times where, like, one of your clients, they might just, like, turn on the hot water, and it doesn't matter how much storage tank you have. Like, that's going to all be gone unless you had on-demand tankless water heaters. Yeah, so, yeah.
A rare case, but still, it is really frustrating. Like, we have had a single client just mess
Yep.
up 12 showers, essentially. Like 6
Yep.
people getting out of their float tanks couldn't shower with hot water, and then the next 6 people getting in didn't have hot water just
Yeah.
because this person really wanted, I guess, to have like a waterfall sound
Yeah.
effect mid-float. So
Yeah, the 6 exiting right after their float did not appreciate a really cold shower. Yeah.
great. We love our clients, though. Great
We love them.
clients.
We love them. They're all amazing. Thank you so much.
All right. And if you have your own questions, head on over to floattanksolutions.com.
/podcast.
And we will see you tomorrow. Talk to you tomorrow, not actually see you.
Yeah, no.
We're not
Well, maybe.
watching
I don't know.
all
You
of
guys
our
coming to
listeners.
Portland?
That'd be
You coming to Portland tomorrow? All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow.